Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and
Yep.
all critics.
Oh man, so today we got to talk about your boy Van Jones and continue the coverage of these Democrats running to the center. We seen this during the election time when you seen a lot of the Democrats started to even campaign on saying that they support the border or they support some of Trump's policies. When before, the election or the campaign season, they was all against Trump, slandering this man, calling him this, that, and the third, and then calling the American people who said their pockets was hurting and that they didn't support these ideologies and ideas that the Democrats was pushing forward, they called them stupid. So today I want to continue the coverage of these Democrats running to the center. Remember, do not fall for the trick bag. They knew all of this stuff before, but yet and still they decide to gaslight you, manipulate you, and call you stupid. Let's get into it.
How the hell did Donald Trump figure out the mainstream media is the fringe and the fringe is now the mainstream? How the hell did Donald Trump figure out? I mean, Joe Rogan is obvious, right? Like, we knew the guy had a big audience. It's not like we were like stunned, but like, how the hell was he, the 78-year-old guy who doesn't even have a computer and still like writes handwritten notes? How did he become the guy who cracked the code on, to your point, running a cultural, I don't even want to say campaign, running
It was a movement. Look,
movement, heading a cultural movement versus a campaign.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen.
Yeah.
So everybody keeps, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
The popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime, and we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary.
You're totally right.
You know, the interesting thing about this is majority of the people on the left feel like this guy in the yellow. And that's what's funny, because they don't understand how Trump was able to connect with the average American and they wasn't. They so used to their propagandas and they manipulating gaslight a media machine. They thought it'd be okay and it'll work again this time. But they were sadly mistaken. See, they didn't understand that their policies was too far left and that the average American did not care for open borders. They wanted secure borders. They did not understand that the average American did not want men in women's sports. You had during the Olympics on the world stage a man beating the brains out of a woman. They did not understand that majority of Americans did not want men in women restroom. That's a sacred space. You got creeps going in dressing up as a woman with a hard ding dong in the woman restroom, looking at them clearly with a hard ding dong in the skirt, poking out their skirt. That's crazy. You had grown men in women's restroom stalking little kids and looking at little kids. We did not want that. And see, they thought their machine would be able to manipulate the Americans, and it just didn't happen this time. And see, Van Jones said Elon. I don't think it was just Elon. Elon played a cool part, especially with X. But I also think it was his son and other people that was surrounding him. Remember, his son was talking about, hey, Dad, you got to go sit down with this person. You got to go sit down with that person. To the point where you have Trump saying, hey, we're going to take a look into TikTok. Man, Trump was so against TikTok and saying, hey, we got to get rid of TikTok because of China. Remember that? To the point that he's saying now that, hey, we're going to look into TikTok and see what we could do about it.
How do you plan to stop the ban on TikTok next month?
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that. Now, Joe Rogan did, and some of the other people that were recommended by my son Barron, he knew names. I said, who is that? Tell me, who's that? Dad, you got to be kidding. I can't believe you don't know. And I did those interviews, and it was actually sort of cute, if you want to know the truth. But we did them, and that had an impact. But TikTok had an impact, and so we're taking a look at it. But, you know, we won youth. Republicans are always 30 points down in youth. I don't know why, but we ended up finishing. There was one poll that showed us down about 30. We were 35 or 36 points up with young people. So I have a little bit of a warm spot in my heart, I'll be honest. Yes, please.
But see, I don't think that Van Jones didn't understand. I think Van Jones chose a side on the left, but Van Jones been saying this, especially after the election. But even before the election, during Trump's first presidency, you have Van Jones even giving Trump credit for the criminal justice reform. Let's take a look.
How significant do you think this is? By the way, one of your partners in working on this was Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner, whose father went to prison and who fought on this as hard as that. This is history. This is history. Right now, you're witnessing history on the floor of the U.S. Senate. There's a Christmas miracle underway where, for the first time in a generation, Republicans and Democrats are arm in arm tonight saying, we are sending too many people to prison. They're coming out bitter and not better. We want to make a tremendous difference. I want to say Hakeem Jeffries on the left, Jared Kushner, and Donald Trump on the right have brought together a coalition like I've never seen. You've got literally the National Association of Manufacturers, Fox News, and Sean Hannity on the same page with Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, the ACLU, Cut 50. Something is beautiful is happening. And it's not that you have to see it to believe it. You have to believe it to see it. It's happening right now. People coming together in America to help the people who have nothing. And it's amazing.
And I'm happy about it.
This is something you and I can agree on.
You see that? See, that was during Trump's first term. Remember, when if you was go on Value Entertainment, when Trump went on there to talk to your boy, I can't think of his name right now, but when he went on there, remember Trump was dogging Van Jones, and he said, "Oh, you didn't see him give credit." And then Trump gave the story of saying how Van Jones came to his door or came to his office crying about how it's not going to pass, but Trump made a phone call and he got it to pass. See, I don't think Van Jones is deranged as he comes off. It's either two things. He is that deranged and has that much hatred for Trump, or he's following the dollar and he decided to go along with the get along and manipulate the average American. Because to have this insight afterwards, after the election, and be able to say, we're the idiots on CNN, I mean, it kind of make me think like, okay, you kind of probably knew this the whole time and you just decided to follow the dollars. And now you're running to the middle and continuing to follow the dollars because you see that, damn, okay, my party went too far left. I need to run to the middle because the middle is where the money at, because when you go woke, you go broke. And I see that the titanium ship is falling over there. I need to get off on this lifeline and run to the middle. But let's react to Van Jones saying, we're the idiots. Having this insight after the election. It's so funny to me.
Here's how we got beat. We got beat because the Republicans and the conservatives built a different media system that had to do with online, had to do with podcasts, had to do with streaming platforms, and they were spending their money there. We were laughing at them and knocking on doors in Philadelphia and Detroit. It's like, there's no Trump people. They're not dropping literature. They're not knocking on doors.
Well, in fact, it was laughing like, oh, Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk with their PACs don't know what they're doing.
We were making fun of Donald Trump for having thrown away his ground game and doing some weird stuff online. We thought that they were idiots. It turned out we were the idiots. We woke up in a body bag because while we were knocking on doors, they were making these phones into 24-hour-a-day political weapons for themselves. And so we got outflanked, outplayed, outbeat by people who told us the whole time that they knew what they were doing.
So how you had this insight afterwards? Van Jones, you're not stupid. You be on social media. You be on X. You be on Instagram and Facebook. You see the temperature. Did you dig your head that deep into the insane leftist agenda that you couldn't read the room? Like, these people be so detached. It's hard to believe that they're that detached. Because it's like, do you ever go to the grocery store and just have a conversation? Because you, Van Jones, I'm pretty sure people is going to walk up to you and talk to you. Like the polarizing things that you sometimes say on the news. I mean, do you just, when these people come up to you and they have a different opinion, do you just denounce them as MAGA supporters and say, oh, they just crazy, they racist? Like, what is it? Because it's hard for me to believe that you did not see this coming. I mean, every time I turn on social media, every time I walk outside, and me personally, I didn't just turn on social media because I knew how the algorithm worked, where it could become an echo chamber. I actually went out into the blue city of Atlanta and I talked to people. And even in the blue city of Atlanta, where you have super liberals and super leftists, I was still able to hear a lot of people say, hey, this shit is getting out of hand. Hey, this shit is getting out of control. Hey, nah, the Democrats went too far. Now, did you still have some of your people out there advocating for Kamala Harris and da-da-da-da-da? Yes. But especially when I talked to the men, they was like, yo, I can't stand with this. I can't. Only the older people, when I talk to them, they'd still be leaning blue no matter who. But it's just hard for me to believe that Van Jones is just now coming to this realization. No, the man see the temperature, what's going on, and he run into the center. And we're going to continue to react. I got like 2 more videos that I want to play for you guys. But I just want to say, look, don't fall for this BS, because all they doing is running back to the center because they see that's where the money is at. And then soon as the temperature kind of docile and calm down a little bit, they're pushing their new agenda right under your nose and manipulate you and pull you right back to the left. So be wary of these guys.
If progressives have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are toxic, and all billionaires are evil, it's kind of hard to keep them on your side. If you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. And maybe if we had a different politics, we actually said dignity for everybody, everybody's respected, and we need you, more people might stay.
So you telling me he didn't understand that before this campaign season? He didn't understand that before the election? All you heard from the Democratic Party was white racist, white race. You had any opposing idea, you was either Uncle Tom, or you're a white racist, you're a fascist, you're a Looney Tune. Like, he didn't understand that before the election. He didn't understand that was going to isolate his party and push everybody away, calling everybody that disagreed with them racist, rather than hearing them out and saying, hey, how can we resonate with these people a little bit more? This is why I say this man wasn't dumb. This man was following the money. And that's what he continuously doing right now, running to the middle, following the money, coming with, because, hey, what did Trump run on? Trump ran on common sense. So let me have a little bit of common sense. Let me run to the middle and say, okay, now people is going to say, okay, maybe the left is having a little bit of common sense. Maybe I could get, all right. He's leading the way for the left to say, hey, come to the middle with a little bit of common sense. We pull these people back into the slave ship boat, and we got them dip off. That's all this is. And I know I ain't tripping. Man, and see, it goes on and on and on. And I want to play this last clip of him saying the same thing repeatedly, you know, telling his party that, hey, we was the one tripping.
In the Philly suburbs. And I'm telling you, we are way off. The entire political class is way off. First of all, digital is the new door knocking. Mm-hmm. You got to understand that. We were laughing our butts off at Donald Trump for suspending his door knocking campaign and letting Charlie Kirk and Elon do a bunch of stuff online. We said, these guys are idiots. These guys are stupid. Then you start knocking on these doors. You know what people come to the door with? Their phone in their hand. They're in a 24-hour digital surround sound that has nothing to do with CNN, has nothing to do with any stuff that we do. I asked my son, I got a teenage son, I asked him, who are the most influential people in the world today? I'm thinking to myself, he's going to say Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z. He says, Kai Cent, Aiden Ross, Jinxie, and Sketch. I don't know who he's talking about. I said, what platforms are you on? He goes, I'm on Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. I said, that sounds like you need to go to the hospital. What are these platforms? I'm telling you guys, the mainstream has become fringe, and the fringe has become mainstream. There are platforms, there are people out there that are getting 14 million streams, and we're on cable news getting 1 or 2 million. And so there is a whole world out there. Kellyanne Conway, I hate to agree with her, but I do a lot of times. Donald Trump understood that and we didn't. And that's not just Democrats that don't. The entire political class is way off, way off, way off.
From the horse's mouth. Way off. Now, you assess this for yourself. You ask yourself, what is Van Drone's true agenda? He talked to his son. His son said, Cassinet, he couldn't even say the name, Aiden Ross. He on Rumble and Twitch. Yo, we already know what Rumble is. You go on Rumble, you know you gonna see nothing but right-wing stuff. And sometimes it's shit too far right. But it's cool. It's a platform where people can really express themselves. So I want to ask you, what is Van Jones, Charlemagne, Stephen A. Smith, what are their agendas? Because a lot of these people were intelligent, I believe, before the election. They didn't just get intelligent or get smart after the election. They're running to the center, and we should not let these people off the hook. I'm all for grace. I'm all for saying, you know what? All right, let's give them another chance. But me personally, I'm having a hard time believing that these people just changed overnight. You know, I heard this saying that once you turn 30, you pretty much who you are. It's not too much changing. And I am hard-pressed to believe that these people just changed after one election. No. You heard Stephen A. Smith say, I was friends with Donald Trump before he be da. Charlemagne can be, at times, smart as all get out. But what he do? Even though he criticized Joe Biden, even though you have people calling up to his radio show, even though, you know, he, out of all people, should be tapped in with the everyday average American people because he's running a radio station, he still decided to go say, hey, I'm voting for Kamala. Even though Kamala came out and said she wouldn't do nothing different. Even though Kamala Harris said she's going to give prison inmates sex changes, he still said, I'm going with Kamala. So ask yourself, after the election, why are all these people running to the center? Don't fall for it. We're going to continue our coverage with Stephen A. Smith next. Let's get into it. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Keep your head up. Keep your nose clean. You say the word, you live forever. Peace.